Hello, guys. The gang is back for part 3 of our election podcast. अब मैं वापस introductions नहीं करने वाला. Go to the previous podcast to listen to who we are and who what we are going to talk about. I will only start with the first disclaimer and the last disclaimer कि भाई इस podcast में we are here to analyze but also to have a do it in a light-hearted way. So please don't take offense. If you take offense, go and cry in front of your parents. Mommy will explain why this is all a joke or something. And if you think you're too old to do that, you are too old to take an offense too. So just with that disclaimer being said, Rohit, Mohal, Kishor are analysts, podcasters, writers. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks
And
you.
thank you for agreeing to waste your Saturday with me and the rest of the world. This means the world. You know, हम लोग बात करते हैं नॉर्थ so this podcast we're going to talk about the rest of North India. We talked about 50 seats of UP in our first episode that we did, and then the other parts of North India too, but we're going to wrap up by talking about Bihar, Jharkhand, and the Pahadi states, Punjab, a little bit of Rajasthan, and so forth. I was thinking about who I miss the most during election season, right? And as I was thinking about the first state that we talk about, this gentleman happens to be from that state. And if, in our humble way or something, we should dedicate our episode to his memory, it should be Jaspal Bhatti. He was an outstanding satirist. He's been gone more than a decade, I think, very tragically in an accident. And no prizes for guessing. We're going to start our discussion with Punjab. So, but his satire is absolutely was. I should say is because I guess art is immortal, so it doesn't just die. Even though sadly Mr. Bhatti is no longer with us. But what a man! And Rohit, since I have not asked you a single question about Punjab for 3 elections, talk about Mr. Bhatti a little bit and then about Punjab.
Thank you, Aadit. And yeah, Mr. Bhatti was an amazing man. I mean, most people don't know that he was actually an electrical engineer by education.
Wow.
And and he used to be a cartoonist also for the Tribune before he ventured into TV and drama. And the best part was that he did not just cultivate his own brand, but he built this entire army of actors who used to work out of his studios based around Chandigarh, Mohali. People like Deepak Thakur, for instance, who still are present on the TV, or Chandan Prabhakar, and the works. And he introduced many great comedians also. For instance, there's this Gurinder Bhalla, if you've seen him on Punjab, and I mean, amazing stuff. Clean comedy. That's one of the best big highlights about him. But socially relevant. That was the unbelievable match that he managed to create. I remember there's this. I mean, of course, most of it was light-hearted banter as well. So there was this amazing episode that he had done in part of his flop show, 13 episode series, but literally reflecting what is wrong in India even today in many ways. So there was one episode on PhD, doctoral program in India, and they're showing the student actually procuring milk and vegetables for the professor in the morning at 5 a.m. And I tell you, I've heard those stories and I've seen those stories in Delhi of all the places. So, I mean, the fact that it was done like decades ago and it's still happening tells you how relevant the man was. Now, coming to the overall picture, and one thing Jaspal Bhatti always used to say about Punjab's politics was that the political class has been a big disappointment and has been the reason for the setback of Punjab. And you are seeing that reflected in the way, for instance, the people aspired for a party like Aam Aadmi Party and gave it an overwhelming mandate in 2022 for factors beyond just, the farm protests that were going on. But it was a lot to, also see that since then, the graph of popularity has been on the decline for the party as a whole. Now, very interesting developments have taken place. Somebody like a 3-time Congress MP, Ravneet Bittu, who was the grandson of the late Chief Minister of Punjab, Beant Singh, who had been killed in an assassination in 1993, has recently joined the BJP and will in all likelihood be the face of the party from Ludhiana. So this will be his 4th foray from Ludhiana for the Lok Sabha. While there is some local anti-incumbency against it, the move is seen as a tectonic shift for 2 reasons. One, it shows that the BJP is acceptable now for the larger, voter base of Punjab, especially the Sikh voter base. And two, it's clearly evident of the fact that the BJP is now emerging as the nationalist force inside the state of Punjab, which was a space that had been vacated by the constant infighting and bickering of the Congress and its refusal to take up the mandate for the last 2 and 3 years, 2.5 years. Another important face, interestingly, a long-time congressman, then an Aam Aadmi Party leader, and a man who had won the Jalandhar Lok Sabha by polls recently, Sushil Rinku. He's also joined the BJP. His arch rival, who was a BJP two-time MLA and who became an Aam Aadmi Party MLA from Jalandhar West, Sheetal Angural. He's also joined the BJP the same day, interestingly, on the same at the same ceremony, induction ceremony, and that shows that there are people willing to, rally behind the party of BJP, making it a serious contender for the first time in as many as 4 seats. This was something that is totally unprecedented because the BJP would barely contest 4 seats ever.
Absolutely. I want to show 2019 just as a reference point. So the top 2 seats obviously are won by the Akali Dal in 2019 and the bottom 2 by the BJP. This is your Aam Aadmi Party, and in between everything was won by the Congress Party. So I want to talk, before I go to Kishor and Mohal, I want you to talk a little bit about the Malwa and the Majha region and how that split occurs.
So, by the way, the top 2 seats were the BJP seats. The bottom 2 are Akali Dal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I flipped those. Yeah, correct.
The top 2. The northern front.
Yeah, yes, the Hoshiarpur seat and the Gurdaspur seat. Those two. मेरे दिमाग में अमृतसर था, but Amritsar actually right here went to the Congress Party.
So here's something very interesting that's going on. Majha is the hardcore Panthik base of Punjab. So all your important historical Gurdwara sites and all the important sites for the Sikh tradition, barring Anandpur Sahib, fall in the Majha belt. So Amritsar, Tarantaran, Moga, these kind of places fall in this belt, and this is basically running parallel to the Pakistan border. The Malwa region is basically the southern part, which includes places like Ludhiana, which includes places like Batinda, which includes places like Fazilka. Now, the interesting thing that's going on here is the BJP is actually for a change because of the kind of people that have come in and the kind of candidates that are possibly being talked about is in a contest, not just in its traditional seats in the Kandi Majha region, which is basically Amritsar, Gurdaspur, but it's in contest in the Majha belt as well, which includes Amritsar. The most likely candidate is Taranjeet Singh Sandhu, the former ambassador of India to the United States.
हमारे अमेरिका वाले संधू जी.
Yes. And interestingly, he is the grandson of Teja Singh Samundri, who was one of the initial pioneers of the Akali movement back in the day. So a person with that kind of lineage joining the BJP and actively campaigning now shows volumes about the level of acceptability that has come for the BJP in the last 2 years. Ludhiana, of course, as I mentioned, that is the heart of the Malwa belt, and that has been one of the weakest areas for the BJP. But the BJP actually was in contention for 2 reasons. One, of course, it had been having a local alliance with a party called the Lok Insaf Party, whose leaders, while has serious criminal charges against them, but they hold a high level of popularity in the district. Second, it's interesting to note BJP actually was second in at least 5 of the 9 assembly seats that fall within the Ludhiana constituency. So there's a genuine chance that the BJP today stands if it feels a serious phase, and Mr. Big 2 might just be that serious phase.
And there is another seat I want you to talk about is Patiala, because now Praneeth Kaur is in the BJP and Amrinder Singh has been in NDA-LI. So now they are Gurdaspur, Hoshiarpur, and that. And I wanted to scream on the mic, but I'm just recovering, so I will not say Sunny Deol is not fighting. So
thank God for that.
Sunny Deol ji नहीं लड़ेंगे इस बार, तो कोई और लड़ेगा उनकी सीट पे.
But jokes apart, the fact is that the Sunny Deol candidacy was frankly a disaster for the BJP. He didn't even bother to turn up in the constituency. The only salvaging piece that so far has emerged from the entire story is that Sunil Jakhar might contest from Gurdaspur for the BJP. He was the opposition's candidate in 2019, and since his joining the BJP, he's been quite active for the party as well, which this happened in 2022. So frankly, the people of Gurdaspur are also wondering if they can get a candidate who is sincere and who will stay around in the seat. And Mr. Sunil Jakhar has that kind of record, frankly. So it would not be a bad deal to go in for him. One interesting contest that I'm looking forward to beyond Amritsar, of course, is Bathinda, because there is a lot of talk of uh, Miss Mrs. Badal, I forget his name, Harsimran Kaur Badal, contesting against Manpreet Badal from the BJP, and
Correct.
Manpreet Badal used to contest from the Bathinda seat till there was a family fallout on the seat and the candidacy back in the day.
Hmm.
So he still believed to have some influence within the seat constituency, especially on certain lower classes, lower socioeconomic classes that are present in the seat in significant number.
Hmm.
So it would be game on definitely if the BJP, despite the unpopularity of Manpreet Badal, fields him from that seat. Uh,
Yes.
Anandpur Sahib is a watch out seat for me. If tomorrow Ravneet Bittu gets fielded from Anandpur Sahib in South Ludhiana, it would be game on again for the BJP. It would be one of those situations because it is a Hindu majority seat, unlike most people realize.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was trying to show, that the Gurdaspur Lok Sabha seat includes Gurdaspur and Pathankot, two
Yes,
areas. So Gurdaspur is about 60% Sikh, but Pathankot is about 90% Hindu. If you count,
yes,
this is about 88% Hindu and the others. So if you look at all these areas, right, there is about more than 55 to 60% Hindu vote. So this has typically we, if you just go down very few times, like Pratap Singh Bajwa, but otherwise Vinod Khanna, who actually worked quite a bit in Gurdaspur, and a lot of people were expecting his wife Kavita to get it because she had been with him and stuff, and got it. But Sunil Jakhar would be a great face as well, the son of ex-CM Balram Jakhar.
yes.
So he would be a very interesting face, and
And this
now
is
he's a
interestingly another dynasty that has been involved in the politics of two states and not one. Most people don't
yes.
realize this.
Exactly. And
For various
he's a
states.
Hindu Jat. So that's a very
Exactly.
interesting dynamic as well. Because when we talk about Jats in Punjab, but before I come back to you, Rohit, I want to get Kishore and Mohal's view a little bit about Punjab. And then I want to talk about the other Pahadi states, Himachal, Uttarakhand as a cluster. And then or what used to be erstwhile Punjab. And then talk
Hmm.
about Haryana, Himachal, and Uttarakhand as well. So, Kishore and Mohal, your points about Punjab, and you can talk a little bit about Himachal,
So,
that entire cluster actually.
so Adit, when you stole my thunder about like Sunny Deol, I mean that was the iconic moment of the 2019 election campaign when somebody actually gave him a hand pump on during an election rally.
Wow. मतलब
So
हमारे लोगों ने क्या नहीं किया. लालू प्रसाद यादव campaigned with an Osama bin Laden lookalike, and then sorry, मतलब
yeah,
and
for
then
me
Right.
he's
actually that was the highlight of the 2019 campaign.
No,
Somebody
for
giving him
Sunny
a hand
Deol, I
pump
think
in
that
the.
may be the only highlight, only achievement in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah. I mean he was like practically a
नहीं भाई
no-show in Parliament.
Gadar 2 he
No,
made
I meant
500 crore.
politically.
नहीं, Gadar 2 was also political achievement only. I don't think it was any cinematic achievement in Gadar 2.
Nothing more than that.
So yeah,
Yeah,
more
but
go on.
jokes apart, so yeah, I think as you said, Gurdaspur, I mean, requires more like a full-time MP like Vinod Khanna who can work with the constituency. I mean, he was a no-show in Parliament, also in the constituency. I mean, he practically even like 1 year ago, I think he practically gave up that he's not going to contest again. I mean, that's the problem with many of these high-profile cinema members of Parliament. I mean, you could have somebody like a Vinod Khanna who works on the ground, or like a Hema Malini who has been repeated again by Narendra Modi, or you could have like people like Sunny Deol who doesn't get repeated. So the other point was like interesting, like I think this will be the first four-cornered fight in Punjab. So it will be interesting to see how much gain ground BJP can gain. I mean, now I will just refer to the two.
Just 1 second, Mohal, before you go in. So to echo your point about Vinod Khanna, from 2009, he did his most movies between 2009 and 2014. That was a 5-year period that he was not elected as a member of parliament from Gurdaspur. I'm not saying he stopped working. He worked quite a bit, but decent amount. But you can look at how much work he did and stuff from 2000, and majority from 2004 to 14, 4 to 9, they were not in the government, but 2009 to 14, when he was not the MP. After that, he probably had special appearances in two films or something. He was still working as an MP, and he unfortunately then got cancer in 2017, or I forget what, but then he passed away after 3 years. But he was certainly working, and because in 2017 BJP did not have a good sort of backup phase, Sunil Jakhar did get it back from BJP in the bypoll. I just had to say that. Mohal, go ahead.
Yeah, so just coming to the four-cornered contest now, it's like BJP has made significant ground. So if you look at the two bypolls, like for this Lok Sabha in 2022 in Sangrur, where Simranjit Singh Man won in a shock development. Interestingly, BJP did gain like 9% of the vote, and they did poll ahead of Shiromani Akali Dal, which is kind of like which is a shock to many, which shows that the complete decimation of Akali Dal in the eyes of many in Punjab, and I mean, which was kind of repeated in also the the Vidhan Sabha elections that year, and also the second was I believe the Jalandhar by-election where AAP won, but like BJP did gain a handsome like 15% of the vote. I mean, this time they were not in front of Akali Dal, but their candidate Inder Singh Atwal, like he gained like 15% of the vote. So this shows that there is at least a residual 10 to 15% vote. Now, how they convert it to seats, maybe they can win a Gurdaspur with, as you said, a Sunil Jakhar. But the other seats, like what kind of penetration they can get, or I mean, is it like kind of a Kerala? I mean, I wouldn't say Kerala story because I don't want people to get upset, but like, where you get 10-15% of the vote, but can you make inroads and win more seats, or you just stay with in the 0 to 2 range,
No, that's a good point, Mohal, right? And Jalandhar, I'll mention one thing. It took the Aam Aadmi Party its entire machinery and top leadership from Delhi and Punjab to win that Lok Sabha seat. So that tells you volumes of,
I
what the
mean,
ground.
and they won by only 5% in the end, actually even less than 5%.
Exactly.
So, and this is like a state where they had won, I think 67 out of 90, right? Or even higher than number, right?
They had, I think, more than 50% vote share in the assembly elections that time.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
that to coming to this, I mean, that was just unprecedented for them.
And
So
in
then I have a
Punjab,
question I have a question for you, Rohit. Then, does that show that, like, I mean, we have seen the tendency of to vote different on a state and local election. So it means that Aam Aadmi Party will again have kind of trouble, even though they might have swept the Vidhan Sabha polls in the national poll. AAP not being a national party, I mean, keeping aside the Kejriwal issue, like they will still struggle, and maybe Congress can get another handsome kitty from Punjab.
See, the problem with the Aam Aadmi Party story right now in Punjab, and frankly, Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab is a regional party. It has nothing to do with the Delhi unit at the end of the day. Most people have probably not realized yet, and I've been pointing this out. Bhagwant Mann, beyond tweets, has not even sent one person to protest in favor of Arvind Kejriwal in the last few days since he has been in ED custody. Having said that, while Bhagwant Mann's own brand value has been increasing in the state, the party's brand value has been sliding very rapidly. Law and order being an issue, of course, for a lot of people, especially in many parts. Uh, the unkept promises, particularly, on issues like permanent hiring, making contractual staff into permanent staff, or, for that matter, issues like, land encroachment removal, electricity, power is such a big issue in Punjab, especially in summers. There was this joke going on for a while after Aam Aadmi Party came, because there were such severe power cuts in Punjab, especially in the sweltering heat of the summer. एक मौका आपनु ना दिन च बत्ती ना रात नु, basically translating into after giving one ना दिन में बत्ती आ रही है ना रात को बिजली आ रही है. So I mean, they've faced brickbats like anything from the local people on these issues. Even during the floods that took place in Punjab last year, While Bhagwant Mann was visible, the party faced flack like anything for not helping the people out on the ground at all, despite having so many MLAs. So a lot of this is basically piling up. Uh, Bhagwant Mann did one savvy thing, of course, by not aligning with the Congress, because he knows that Congress will basically gain from AAP today more than AAP gain from the Congress. That's the
Hmm.
kind of situation that is there in this state. So Akali is basically did that. Akali BSP alliance is literally the same. It's the BSP that always gains more from them than the Akalis, which was evident in that. So I want to see. I mean, how and who are the candidates who want to run.
I
There
think
was
that.
even yeah.
No, no, sorry. Go ahead. I wanted to.
No, no, please.
No, I
No,
mean,
no.
sorry, like that shows the contradiction, right? That where Aam Aadmi Party will have an alliance, as we spoke like in episode 1 on in Delhi, but they don't have an alliance. So it kind of boggles my mind, like why would you have an alliance in one place and not have an alliance in the other state? The much bigger state.
Because the
Yeah.
point is, they think that. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Rohit.
नहीं, बोलो, बोलो, बोलो.
No, no, I was saying the point is that they are both the alpha players, so to speak, in the bigger state, trying for the bigger state of pie. Congress knows that it's not a factor in Delhi. Unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you take it, they know they are not a factor. But the strangest thing is, Kejriwal, whose claim to fame was defeating Sheila Dikshit, has now joined Sheila Dikshit's party. So, but before I come back to
Yeah.
you, Rohit, Kishore, your initial thoughts, and also speak about Haryana, and then I'll get Rohit to weigh on Haryana, Himachal, and Punjab, all three.
I think the bottom line that I would want to read after the elections are over is, would all these four parties then rue the fact that they did not enter into alliances? Shiromani Akali Dal with BJP on one side, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party on the other side. Had it been the case, had it been a two-party alliance on one side with fighting against another two-party alliance on the other side, you would have had a complete polarization of the vote share. And now with the four-cornered contest, like how Mohal pointed out, even a 15% or a 18% incremental vote share that BJP can get can actually help it win seats, if not everywhere, at least in pockets like the ones that you mentioned. So I think that is what BJP would be hoping for, especially in places where urban voters are more, and the urban Punjabi Hindus who generally have preferred BJP. I think that is one thing that BJP would definitely want to maximize this time around. But yeah, from an Aam Aadmi party perspective, I think they would definitely want to make sure that they win more here, and obviously their track record in Delhi is nothing to speak about. So even if they win 4, 5, 6 out of the 13, I think they would be damn happy about it. But needs to be seen how well their cadres will be able to move around in this election. Adit?
Yes, absolutely. So moving from there to Haryana, and then I'll get Rohit to comment on both what Kishore said, and
Before
because
that, Adit, can we get some input from Rohit? Like, what do you think about Chandigarh?
no, so
No,
I'm
Chandigarh.
going to Chandigarh. Go ahead, Rohit. Go ahead.
No, Chandigarh is an out and out BJP seat. Actually, people don't realize this, but Chandigarh, Mohali, and these areas that join Punjab or Himachal are actually all Hindu majority areas, right? So there, by default, BJP, because of the dynamics, because of the larger urbanization rates in the area, becomes a bigger factor always, right? So I mean, BJP, Kiran Kher, I wonder if she's been given the ticket again. I think she's been given the ticket again,
No,
right? If I'm not
no, they
mistaken.
haven't announced a candidate. So that's the other question. Like Sunny Deol, like, are they going to drop her like a film star?
No,
So I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think she was
surprised
feeling
if
well as well. She is just recovering. So I think BJP might want to use that as an excuse not to give her a
No,
ticket.
she's feeling well enough to be a judge on talent shows, so that's okay though. But I
wow.
think, but I don't
So
think
actually,
she'll be repeated.
BJP used to win the seat more, not so much on Kiran Kher's name, but more because she was okay. So there are two reasons why BJP has always fielded somebody like Kiran Kher. One, she's a Jat, so that was a big calling card for them to have her, right? By origin. Second, and she was very. She even once in during the whole mayoral poll fiasco going on in the Chandigarh municipal corporation, she's roared in one press conference, "मैं भी जट दी पुतली, जटनी हाँ मैं भी," when she started doing that. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, this Punjab politics has come all the way to Chandigarh as well. Second, BJP has always had amazing people working for them in the UT of Chandigarh. Mr. Rajiv Kumar Jain, who's a lawyer as well, better known as Pawan Kumar Bansal back in the day. Basic, yeah, sorry, Satyapal Jain, Rajiv Kumar. I mean. Satyapal Jain has
I got
always
you.
been a very big
Yeah.
factor in the city, and he has great personal rapport with the voters. Pawan Bansal was a similar candidate, very respected across the board. So it was always a contest between these two for the longest time.
Hmm.
He was basically forced to vacate the seat. So I would not be surprised if the time has come for him to finally contest on the seat again after like a very long hiatus. Because sidelining him has also sort of been a factor among others for the BJP having lost the mayoral position of Chandigarh after a very long time.
And
Yeah.
Congress has fielded like I think Manish Tiwari.
Manish Tiwari, yes. But what is interesting is also in the Chandigarh, which was dominated. So Mr. Satyapal Jain, obviously, as his last name suggests, is a Jain, right? What is interesting is in the politics dominated by your Jat votes and the Hindu votes or something, BJP used to have also a caste neutral candidate, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
That
They've always done.
continuously won, and Kiran Kher had to do rallies with him to make sure that she is doing that. So, and there was another chap from Janata Dal called Harmohan Dhawan, who used to be a player who would get about 70-80,000 votes. वो हर एक पार्टी से लड़ चुका है. So Harmohan Dhawan has, and I'm not kidding, Harmohan Dhawan won from Janata Dal in 1989. Then in 2004 he fought on INLD. In 2009 Harmohan Dhawan fought on BSP. In 2014 he fought. He didn't fight because Gul Panang was the AAP candidate, and in 2019 he fought on AAP. So
Hmm.
Mr. Dhawan is all sorts of.
All
He passed
rounder.
away. No, really. So he passed away earlier this year in January, which I did not know. So he won't be there, and so basically it's going to be straight fight between BJP and Congress again. And Manish Tiwari, interestingly, was also touted as a name to join BJP in Punjab,
Exactly.
because and I mean I wouldn't blame them, because in Punjab the politics is so messed up that BJP is seen as a fresh face now.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. And I think that is what the BJP realized by not aligning with the Akalis eventually.
Hmm.
Though, I mean, it was a mutual settlement in terms of a divorce between the two. The Akalis were able to show that we parted ways with the BJP because we were committed to the Panthak cause
Oh.
at the end. But yeah,
So
now let's move to Haryana as was
let's
the
move to Haryana. So
yeah.
Haryana was the biggest shocker last election. I remember this scene from the last election, and we talk about Haryana and Himachal both. Um, KC Tyagi of the Janata Dal United was sitting in the studio, and he was asked on Zee News, and this is available on YouTube. And he's like, कि हरियाणा में 10 सीट जीत गए, and he on air said, है हरियाणा में 10 की 10. He's like, ये देखो सर. He's like, मैं गया हूँ ताऊ देवीलाल के साथ, चौधरी देवीलाल के साथ हरियाणा में कैंपेन करते हुए इन जनता दल, and I cannot believe that the
Hmm.
state of Tau Devidal has voted thus 10 out of 10. And especially the biggest shock was Rohtak, because that is the as we jokingly call DK Shiv Kumar's what is that area, Kanakapura.
Kanakapura, Republic of
Kanakapura,
Kanakapura. Yeah.
Kanakapura, I call it Republic of Kanakapura. So Republic of Rohtak is the god of Bhupinder Singh Hooda, like Republic of Chhindwara is for Kamal Nath. And BJP even won that by 7,500 votes. Now this time I don't think they are going to win it. Bhupinder Hooda will basically move land, earth, sea, whatever it takes to make sure that Bhupinder wins again. From Rohtak, I don't know who their candidate is, but I think the Haryana might still be a 7-9-1 win for the BJP. So talk a little bit about that, and look at the margins here in Karnal and Gurgaon and Faridabad. This is unbelievable. I mean, these are like Gujarat level margins, if that was a benchmark.
Yeah, yeah. So very good point that you raised, and you have to realize 2019 was happening in the backdrop of the Pulwama Balakot incidents, right? So the fervor of nationalistic sentiment was at its all-time high. That in fact we'll touch on another state where the similar impact was also seen, which was Himachal, frankly, and Uttarakhand also had a similar swing happening wild, basically, which was unprecedented. But
I'll
in
pull those
Haryana,
up as you're talking.
yeah, yeah. But what happened is that because Haryana is also another state like these states in the northwest where every family contributes a soldier to the armed forces in one way or the other. CISF, and if you started adding the paramilitary forces and the police forces, it would even be higher than that,
Yeah.
right? So, in the idea that there was this moment to rally behind, the government and the PM at that moment, and जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं संबल देना सरकार को उस समय, that was the sentiment that was cut to 2024. The scenario is very different, and the scenario is different because and my own sense of having traveled across North Haryana, I can definitely say that there is actually uh, polarization along community lines, sadly. The breakaway, the split between Jan Nayak Janata Party and the BJP is a clear sign of what's going on. uh, Congress is actually rallying, is basically putting heaven and earth together to ensure that it is a serious candidate, contestant in the Lok Sabha and the Assembly elections. And my guess is that in the Assembly elections, the Congress actually has a slight edge ahead right now, because what's going on is that the Congress has also finally managed to come up with this kind of repeat of its old base of one dominant community and many other small minor communities on the side. Though the BJP was unofficially contesting on a 35 biradri versus one biradri line, and that also shows, in fact, from the latest chief minister choice. Manohar Lal Khattar was basically becoming unpopular for many reasons. One of those, of course, many of those reasons are absolutely silly, honestly, which was like basically e-tendering of e-tenders for panchayats, and then all hell broke loose across Haryana because panchayat fund se pilfering karna to is easy, was like child's play till e-tendering came in, and that basically costed them a lot of local support in the rural areas. Of course, I mean, the thing is though that the BJP is a serious player because of the 35 biradri versus one biradri game that's still going on. I wouldn't be surprised if the BJP manages to win about 5 to 6 seats as we speak today, and Congress has a very good shot in about 3 or 4 seats, and these 3 or 4 seats basically belong to one belt. I would say of districts like Rohtak, Jhajjar, uh, and even Kathal and Jeend to some extent. I would, of course, want to see what are the contestants who come in. Uh, Naveen Jindal has joined the BJP, ditching the Congress, and he's been given the Kurukshetra seat, if I'm not mistaken. So, and Kurukshetra is one seat where Nayab Singh Saini, who's the current chief minister now, was representing in the Lok Sabha prior to that. I was wondering if Manohar Lal Khattar would be given that seat, but he's been given his home constituency of Karnal. So I want to see, I mean, and that's a clear sign probably that he's also going to be inducted in a future cabinet should he win, and should the government come to power, which is almost a certainty
Yeah,
now.
Karnal was a very close contest where BJP got 70.5% of the vote last time.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very safe seat for them.
Uh-huh.
But I want to
It's
see what
it's a
happens.
Hindu seat.
It's a
I mean,
dominant Hindu seat in that sense. Yeah.
matlab,
And,
I would, Haryana itself is 90% Hindu, obviously, but even in caste wise, the BJP can essentially nominate whatever caste it wants on this seat and win.
yeah,
It's
it's a
not a
hardcore
Jat dominated
BJP seat for a
No,
while.
no, but
And,
Adit, like in 9 of the 10 seats, BJP won more than 50% of the vote share. So if you look at all the seats, they won by 1.6 lakh or more, 1.6 to 3.6 lakh in most of the seats. And it was a massive sweep. Only the Rohtak, which you say like was like 7,500
No, but
votes.
even in the sweeps, Karnal is another level, 6.6 lakh votes.
yeah,
You
but
can't.
the interesting part is though that you did not see anything similar to this when the assembly elections came later in the same year.
That's right. That's right.
So I mean the split in choice was very evident that
And
there actually the BJP was held by the Jan Nayak Janata Party in a way by eating away
right.
into Congress votes.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
Let's
so let's
let's look at Himachal, where your
yeah.
favorite actress Kangana Ranaut is now a part of the BJP. Rohit is a big Kangana ji fan. So Rohit, talk a little bit about her greatness and why BJP is going to sweep Himachal again.
Well, one can definitely say that she's a firebrand personality, and
Absolutely. No, I'm being facetious. I actually admire her work too. But as a politician, I don't know how she's going to. It's going to be a
and
challenge of
and
its own.
one of my biggest pet peeves these days, fielding these celebrity candidates from places where you can actually win even without them, and basically taking away the chances of genuinely hardworking, party workers and volunteers from contesting on those seats. And it's actually not a very pleasant trend. There were reasons like this because of which somebody like Rajendra Rana had basically left the BJP back in the day and joined the Congress. Now he's back in the BJP as one of the 6 MLAs who defected in the recent fiasco that went on in the state. And it was his departure that was responsible for the serious downsizing of the vote share that the BJP used to get from the Hamirpur Lok Sabha seat. Hamirpur, and they were basically, he became a bete noir of the Dhumal family back in the day, because he was not given the ticket for the Vidhan Sabha. So long story short, interestingly though, BJP of course has continued with the candidate from Kangra, Mr. Kishan Kapoor. It's a very interesting choice because it's a Punjabi candidate and not necessarily a proper Himachali candidate. But I mean, there are Punjabis who have been settled for generations in Himachal. So Kangra particularly being the place where it is, and Kangra is a very urbanized region. BJP can see a definite downsizing of their
And
vote.
since sorry, to add something,
Yes,
and Kangra has been leaning towards the Congress since Shanta Kumar retired from active, because as you can see they have
yes,
more MLAs within that. But
yes.
in the Lok Sabha, it comes back. So Shanta Kumar was given in 2014 in the Kangra seat, but Kishan Kapoor had it in, no, this time it's Rajiv Bhardwaj, I think. That's what they're
No,
saying.
this time is Rajiv Bhardwaj, which is interesting because he's originally from. My bad. I mean, he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the people who also was from Chamba. Na? There's a Bhardwaj candidate who won the Rajya Sabha seat.
Exactly. So I think to what your point was, Kishan Kapoor was given in 2014. I think BJP realized that, and that's why you have Rajiv Bhardwaj in 2020.
Yeah, yeah. See, one more issue that's coming up for the hill states in particular, and that has been the unpopularity of the Agniveer scheme in the last few years. Because what's going on is that in these states, the biggest source of employment, unfortunately or fortunately, are armed forces as a vocation. And not just armed forces, but even the paramilitary forces. I myself have family members on both sides of my family who are part of who have retired from the army or the Air Force or the Navy and are part of security services and stuff like that. But Agniveer was actually one of the reasons identified, especially in lower Himachal, where the numbers come from in big way, because the population is higher in the lower Himachal region, for the BJP facing a serious rout during the assembly elections. Of course, it's a state that has very thin margins anyway. Very small constituency sizes in terms of absolute number of voters. So even like a 1%, it basically takes 100 votes to sometimes lose the election. And personal connect of the candidate is also another big factor. This is something you see in many small states like Goa as well, right? Total population in Himachal is frankly not even 1/3 of Delhi, for the geography that it is. So having that personal connect becomes even more important. um, Agniveer, mind you, there is some announcement on the modification of the scheme that has come very recently from the Defense Ministry. So I want to see whether it was done keeping in mind the fact that, interestingly, not just I would say Himachal, but Uttarakhand and Jammu also, and to some extent Punjab and Haryana as well. Whether the sentiment or the feedback that the government was getting on it, and there were operative issues as well that were being identified with the Agniveer scheme as it stood earlier, in terms of the numbers that were being retained, what is the kind of
So,
scale being given. So,
so then before we get into Uttarakhand and wrap the Pahadi states up, and we'll end with Jammu, Kashmir, and obviously then we'll move into Bihar, Jharkhand. Kishore and Mohal, I want your point. So Mohal, you
So
first, and then
one point I
Kishore.
want to make about Himachal, I think that had a winning margin, which I think was in terms of percentage even higher than like a Gujarat. I mean, every candidate got 66% or higher. I mean, just imagine like 2/3 of the votes are just going to BJP in Himachal. So just wanted to point out like that these were like massive sweeps. So I mean, to Rohit's point, like even if there are setbacks, let's say in a Haryana or a Himachal, that would be like a massive blow to BJP because they have just won these seats by thumping margins. I mean, even I don't know if there's a word even higher than thumping you can say.
yeah, no, and in fact, what's happening is that a sign of the things that are unfolding on the ground. Pratibha Singh refused to contest from Mandi against Kangana Ranaut. So I think
Hmm.
it was not necessarily about the candidate, but I think the fact that the party is in an absolute disarray. in the state. Aam Aadmi Party is nowhere to be seen, and there's no third front necessarily. The only seat where a third front is genuinely possible is Shimla. Interestingly, a communist stronghold in the north.
Yes. The
In
mayor of
certain,
Shimla used to be a communist, if or maybe still is.
yeah, one of the MLAs in Shimla is always a communist, Thiog, or even the Shimla Municipal Corporation would mostly be controlled by the communists for the longest
Correct.
time because of the strong government employee and the trade union thing going on there.
Correct.
But I mean, there's no contest on the Congress because the Congress is in absolute disarray with big leaders actually and hardworking ground leaders actually having exited the party and joined the BJP. So I
The,
mean,
I think
trends strongly going against them in the state right now.
the
I think
funniest thing.
any doubt anybody would have had about Congress snatching one seat from BJP, all that would be laid to rest after the Rajya Sabha election fiasco,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I mean that kind of broke the back for the party there,
No
and the
doubt.
BJP was able to utilize that opportunity, not only get the rebels resigned from their MLA seats, but also ensure that their own MLAs stay together. And
Hmm.
I think that kind of gives them the perfect opportunity to win again, whitewash.
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
doubt.
And same for Uttarakhand also. I mean, I don't want to say this facetiously, but similar story. If I were to show you that it was a straight sweep of the BJP across, it was like more than 20% and stuff. And for the more reason, wahi hoga. But Kishore, do you think Agniveer will play a role in Uttarakhand? And I'm going to go to Rohit after. But yeah, do you think
I
Agni?
I doubt that because a lot of time has passed since then. The anger can or may have already been managed by BJP. So I think
Mhm.
that way, I really doubt if the people would want to utilize this opportunity to take vengeance on BJP. I think that's something that I really find tough to believe.
Yeah, and really, the BJP has had very good candidates, and they have continuing to repeat those candidates. Second thing,
Hmm.
the Brahmin vote matters a lot in Uttarakhand. You cannot just, it's a more than 20%, almost 25%. And Congress, with its allies like DMK, and the kind of day in day out shitting they do, demonizing the Brahmin community isn't helping. After ND Tiwari, they've not had anyone who actually talks to the Brahmin voter, and that's the only guy who could actually win Uttarakhand, even with all his flaws, for the
Yeah.
Congress party.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a very good point that you've raised. And you know what? See, the two dominant communities in Uttarakhand, Brahmin and Thakur, as they call it, or Rajput. So, what's happening in Uttarakhand particularly is that BJP is definitely trying to dissipate some of the heat of the Agniveer scheme. But there's a bigger challenge that it faces right now in the state, which is the local issue of Bhu Kanun, or domicile law. And there have been a series of protests that have been going on for months to end now. I mean, it's a very emotive issue for the local people because there is a genuine fear in the state of Uttarakhand of being overwhelmed, especially by certain demographies that have been, inserted over a decades period or 2 decades period by certain vested political interests. Everybody knows what I'm going, what I'm talking about. So you know what I'm talking about. And what is very alarming is that many of these demographies are also now quietly, occupying the border villages which stood empty. So it's also being now portrayed as a national security threat, and the questions are definitely coming BJP's way. And BJP has anyway been promising to tackle some of these issues very seriously. Though their solutions like the UCC, frankly, it's a kite that has flown nowhere. After the initial rather bravado display of Mr. Pushkar Singh Dhami walking with the Constitution, big copy of the Constitution in his hand down a staircase out of his house, it's gone nowhere since then. But fact means that the BJP definitely can win, but would the margins be the same as 2024? I doubt that seriously. My biggest concern, of course, is whether the BJP is just losing seats to because people want to teach it a lesson on the emotive Bhu Kanun issue. It was an issue that they actually promised in the manifesto as well. And that was one of the big contributing factors, apart from the fact that they dropped more than a third of their MLAs to beat anti-incumbency for the spectacular repeat performance they managed to do for the first time ever in the state's history. And have a government and have an incumbent government coming back. So Mr. Pushkar Singh Dhami definitely has personal popularity in the state. You cannot deny that. He's seen as a clean image and a break from the corrupt mess of the past, cross party lines. But and the candidates for the BJP are very good. Anil Baluni is fairly popular. Mr. Ajay Tamta is also fairly popular. Mr. Ajay Bhatt, who's also the outgoing state minister for defense, has been a very popular choice, and he's been a very hardworking MP also. But at the end of the day, emotively, yes, because a lot of the old-time faces of the BJP were associated with the Uttarakhand state formation agitation. The BJP will definitely gain from it, but margins, no, I don't think that's going to happen for them. It might be the case that BJP may even lose one seat out of the 5. So it should not. Of course, it would be in the. I do depend on where that seat is. I hope it is not in the Duar's belt, because that would also be an alarming sign of the demographic change that has happened there in a massive way in the last 2 decades.
Absolutely. And what is interesting is what you said about Uttarakhand, that it was always a swing state, but it's finally settled in one direction this way, even though given its demographics. What is interesting with the BJP also has to plan is getting its caste complexities right, and which it has. So before we move to Bihar and Jharkhand, which are two of the biggest prizes this time for that, let's talk a little bit about Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir last time was divided up 3-3. And Mohal, I want you to first pitch in before I go to Rohit. Jammu is where I think BJP is getting the toughest fight in Jammu and Udhampur, because Lal Singh is taking straight on Jitendra Singh in Udhampur, and Udhampur is not your conventional seat because Udhampur's seat is primarily Hindu, but the surrounding areas are Muslim dominated. So it's always a 50-50 seat. What do you think will happen? Mohal?
I think because of the development that Jammu Kashmir has seen post the revocation of Article 3 or abrogation of Article 370, they should be expected to win the 2 seats. My bigger thing to look out would be, and obviously the 2 valley seats would be out of contention for BJP no matter how much developed because of the demographics. But the interesting thing would be the Ladakh seat, especially the agitation led by Sonam Wanchuk, with his 21-day fast for the implementation of the 6th schedule. I think that is the thing. I think even in 2019, I believe that seat was won by a very wafer thin margin. So it will be that will be, I think, the seat to watch. Udhampur and Jammu, one would expect that BJP to retain. I'm not sure about the margins. But I think one more question would be that lot of folks who I don't know if there would be a large influx of residents into Kashmir would make any difference post Article 370.
So that's a fascinating point you've raised, Mohal Bhai. And honestly, most of the people who've been settled as new voters in JNK, an overwhelming majority of them have actually been settled in Jammu. So the point is, it actually has barely any impact on the Kashmir Valley. Delimitation had created a new seat, which is pockets of Doda and Anantnag from Kashmir, which is a very strange kind of hybrid seat that has been created. These are pockets, interestingly, where the Gujar community and the Bakarwal community has significant presence, and also the Pahadi community, which has recently been given ST status. Now, the ST status given to the Pahadi community is a very interesting case in point on how badly the BJP has bungled up in JNK, in my opinion. Because while the Pahadi community, which included both Hindus and Muslims, have gotten the ST status, the Gujars and Bakarwals have been very upset with that being given, because they were the ones who were basically dominating those seats, the reserved seats so far. So they were on a 6-month-long protest in Jammu on this issue, though of course it was eventually dissipated. But it didn't go down very well with them. There are also a lot of issues, with the unpopularity of the local unit of the BJP when it comes to solving the issues of Jammu division particularly. See, BJP is frankly a Jammu party. It has nothing to do in the Kashmir Valley, for all one would say. Even if, and I don't want to sound rude, but even if the Prime Minister Modi contested from Kashmir, he would never win a seat there. It's that clear. The demographics of the region are so clear and evidently against the BJP, it will never win a seat there. Having said that, while the BJP did win significant, because BJP has a lot of popularity, especially Prime Minister Modi has a lot of popularity in Jammu. He has interestingly also been a long time. He used to be a significant player as the BJP's general secretary in organizing the party at the local level when he was in Delhi back in the day during the Vajpayee era. So I mean, he knows Jammu very well, and he would identify the problems would it be raised with him. There's a lot of frustration also with the fact that Jammu was basically clubbed with the BJP and with the Kashmir region and created as one separate administrative unit, unlike Ladakh. So I mean, a lot of things piling up. The local unit actually being of no. I mean, it's seen as a useless bunch, which is the same case that you would see in Delhi. Frankly, the local unit being in absolute shambles right now. There's a lot of infighting going on between people like Ravinder Rana and the Rana brothers, Jitendra and Devinder Singh. Jitendra Singh, of course, I mean, people know he's the MP, and Devinder Rana used to be a member of the National Conference before he joined the BJP a couple of years back. So, I mean, it's total fiasco going on. Even if the BJP wins today, and it would not be surprised the BJP wins the Lok Sabha seat. Should an assembly election be held today in Jammu and Kashmir, BJP would lose very badly. So, I mean, the situation is not necessarily in their favor. And this is actually speaking volumes about how BJP state units are being run currently by the local leaders, and I think administratively, I don't want to point to people specifically, but ever since Mr. JP Nadda has become the president of the party nationally, we have seen many state units basically starting to literally fall apart at the seams because there's no control on the infighting, and cadre is not being addressed by the middle rung leadership in the way it used to be earlier. Kishorji, anything that you would like to add?
Yes. One thing with regards to the region of Kashmir, what will be the voting percentage? Will people actually come and vote? I think that's more a benchmark that I would want to see. In the past 3 decades, the voting percentage in Srinagar, Anantnag, Baramulla, all these three constituencies has barely been 1%, 2%, 3%. And what I would be interested in seeing is will it actually go higher, maybe 5 to 10%, 12%. If that is happening, then I think we are on the right track after the application of Article 370. I mean, no matter how much the central government would want to bring in terms of development, if the people are willing to participate in the entire democratic process of the elections, I think that will be the real yardstick to measure the actual development and such percolating to the end masses. So I think that is something that I would want to look out for.
That's actually a good point that you've raised. Like in the past, there used to be good numbers reported for assembly elections, even more than Lok Sabha elections, because they would see that as a matter of daily bread and butter. But yeah, and one indicator of what one can expect, interestingly, is what the National Conference has been talking about for some time now. They have given up on the idea of the 370 being restored in the way it was earlier.
Yeah. The funniest thing in my mind is this: people are saying, "अरे India में तो सब 370 के खिलाफ ही थे." After saying for 70 years that India people were 370. But one other point I want to is the demographics. What you said in Ladakh, and I was showing those numbers. BJP won by 10,000 votes, right? But two independents, Sajjad Hussain and Asghar Ali Karbalai, won 30,000 and 30,000 votes. So the Muslim vote or the Shia vote splitting usually helps the BJP Buddhist candidate, because BJP is not going to nominate a Shia candidate. That's just not going to happen. And Ladakh is a seat which is about 55% Buddhist and 45% or 40% Shia and 5% others. The question here is, A, whether BJP can get a full sort of thing. And the curious part about Ladakh is since 1989, not one MP has been come back again. It was Muhammad Hussain commander, then Funsong Namgyal, Syed Hussain, Hassan Khan, Thubstan Chewang, Hassan Khan, then Thubstan Chewang, and then Jamyang Trising Namgyal, who's the current MP. So that's the insane part about Ladakh. Not in the last 30 years, I mean, or no, maybe even more, 35 years since I've been born, Ladakh has not seen one MP come back.
No, that's a good point. And as we had mentioned earlier, sixth schedule is a big problem coming up for in terms of a demand. You see, because you mentioned other Shia candidates, Kargil Dras Belt basically, and also Gilgit, and which stretches naturally into Gilgit Baltistan that is occupied today, is a region that is heavily Shia Muslim dominant ethnically. On the Pakistan side, on the Pakistan controlled areas, of course, the demography has been changed quite a bit now. So it has a lot of Pashtuns now living in the region. But yeah, I mean, it's a problem for the BJP today as a seat. I see a very big challenge for the BJP because of the sixth schedule issue. See, Sonam Wangchuk definitely has much to answer for. I would not deny that. But he has raised a point that resonates with a lot of people across Ladakh today. As a UT, there has been much progress and good progress for the UT, but the cultural sensitivities of the region are something that the people have been demanding for a while now, and that is something that has not been addressed well by the BJP. Frankly, neither in Ladakh nor in JNK, I would say. The cultural sense. For instance, there's so many issues. And by the way, Mr. Namgyal basically sharpened his teeth as a student political leader with the ABVP in Jammu. So he is basically an adopted son of Jammu as well. But the thing is that
Fascinating.
yeah, but the thing is that it is a very problematic situation right now for the BJP because they're not answering whether the sixth schedule would be granted to would be given the cover of sixth schedule would be given to Ladakh or not. The issue is that the sixth schedule is usually given for areas that have significant tribal populations, and you cannot classify Buddhists as tribals yet. There's no provision to
So,
do that. There are tribes, of course, in Ladakh, like the Changpas, but there's no clarity on how this can be achieved.
fascinating. Okay, so for our last two states, I think the rest of UP we'll cover with the western part with Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and the rest of Maharashtra. In our Maharashtra, में तो सारे candidates भी नहीं आए. So we are hoping that by the time the freezes have started, they
I
can.
mean, people are defecting every day. How do you even figure out who to
Exactly.
choose?
And as we were recording, I saw a tweet saying Ramchandra Paswan, Pashupati Kumar Paras, the other brother of Ramvilas Paswan, has rejoined the NDA.
Oh, because they're reading the ground clearly. They're reading the ground.
But so yes, the Paswan family and their capacity to deflect is unbelievable. So having said that, I want to show the funniest thing I've seen in Bihar. So when I was looking at the 2019 numbers, 2019, right? So this is Nityanand Rai, Nitish Kumar, Ramvilas Paswan, NDA swept. Look at who the leader of Congress is shown as. Mohal, you're going to love this. Shakti Singh Goyal. He was the leader of Congress, according to that.
Hey, he won Kishanganj for them, so like, don't mock him.
Shakti Singh Goyal couldn't even win Bhavnagar in his own state. How is he going to win Kishanganj?
Democracy ka game. Come on, yeah.
वही
is
तो.
a democracy game.
Kishanganj they won before even they contested. And
Exactly.
So Lalu Yadav, and then this is another funniest thing. Kanhaiya Kumar. Remember Kanhaiya Kumar? No one is talking about him. लोग भूल गए. This is Indian politics. Last election, everyone was Kanhaiya.
And he came in third, right, in his seat, the one he contested.
Yes, because he had star campaigners like Swara Bhaskar and Javed Akhtar and legend says Javed Akhtar is still campaigning for him. उसने तब से शुरू किया था, अभी तक स्पीच खत्म नहीं हुई.
Baba, Jignesh Mevani came to campaign for him in Bihar.
Yeah. That's your other Gujarat connection, right?
Exactly. So, basically, every time Jignesh Mevani spoke there, he lost another 1,000 votes.
He lost another 1,000 votes. Wherever Jignesh Mevani says something, Congress loses 1,000 votes in the other part of India. But so Bihar is a very interesting game because NDA won Actually, BJP gave up 5 of its seat and had a formula of 17-16-6, 17-17-6, if I'm not mistaken, with the LJP getting 6 and JDU getting 17. And they swept. Basically, they won 39 out of 40. And they were like, again, in that same interview, KC Tyagi, who was from the JDU, said that BJP understands that there has to be certain give and take. And they gave us 5 seats, knowing fully well that this is what the JDU needed. The Congress does not understand that, and that is why they lost. Then Nitish Kumar went from the BJP to the Mahagathbandhan. Before the elections, he came back and on a rally with Narendra Modi, he said, "Hum to chale gaye the, ab hum hai." That is essentially what he said. So
Yeah,
वो अब है,
अब नहीं जाएंगे sort
अब
of.
या
हम
अब नहीं
कहीं नहीं
जाएंगे.
जा रहे हैं.
And now this is the formula they have come up with. So JDU will contest one less, LJP will contest one less, and then they'll give one to Jitaram Manji and Upendra Kushwaha. So it's a formidable alliance, right? Now, not only they
Way
have the
too
two
many
parties,
partners. That's
no, but they all of them have 2-3% votes and stuff in the state, 1-2%.
yeah,
So they
true.
and so they can, and all of it is transferable. They are all the Om Prakash Rajbhars of Bihar. That's what I jokingly
Yeah,
call.
but I mean,
And
the thing is, when I say too many partners, doesn't mean it's obviously a very formidable alliance. I mean, it
hmm,
covers all the bases in like of the
Hmm.
caste in Bihar. But the thing is, like BJP has to give up way too many seats to its partners, and I know, and you know, all the partners, especially in a state like Bihar, are so fickle. I mean, like RLSP, he will be gone for a few years and he'll come back. So if tomorrow there is, let's say, I know for whatever Nitish said, like let's say if tomorrow if he walks out of the alliance, you lose that many MPs in the Lok Sabha, you know.
hmm,
Yeah.
hmm,
No, but I think one thing to keep in mind, the way BJP has been flexible and willing to bend over backwards. I mean, I think the sense was that they were not doing good in Bihar, and that is why they went and entered into an alliance with JDU as well. Not
hmm,
only that, they were willing to give up a few seats here and there and ensure that the Mahagathbandhan will not be able to capitalize on the weakness, so to speak. So I think that way BJP has been having their ears to the ground, understanding what needs to be done, ensuring that they kind of keep their ego aside, having a formidable alliance even with these 2%, 3% parties. And I think that's how they now want to ensure that no matter what, they would want to have a
But
stupendous result from Bihar as
But
well.
see, I'll slightly disagree with Kishore here. So I think the
Hmm.
weakest partner is like actually JDU. I mean, Nitish Kumar. I mean, if you look at some of the C voter daily tracking and polls, like his popularity is like kind of in the dirt. I mean, like if he had contested alone, like he might have not, even if with the Mahagathbandhan, then he might have not fetched that many seats. So the weakest link I think is like Nitish Kumar. I mean, and come 2025, I mean, which is I mean a million years away in today's uh, context. I mean, we don't know what will happen, like whether they will subsume the JDU in a future, the BJP. But I mean, he could be dragging down, like if they give too many seats up to the JDU, he could literally drag down the NDA alliance in BJP, because it's like Modi is obviously popular. But and then like one last thing, I'll have a Mia Kalpa. I mean, Kanaya Kumar did come in second, not third. Sorry, so.
the third, huh? That's interesting. But I was also curious to see the UP or the INDA allies. They have the Communist Party of India, the Communist Party of India Marxist, and the Communist Party of India Marxist Leninist Liberation.
Lenin, yeah. Hmm.
Five seats to the CPI. Anyone who knows an iota about Bihar knows about Lalu and the communist connection, and
Yeah.
that is the funniest thing ever. The thing is, the Communist Party of India and Lalu share the most bloodiest history possible. They were murders of cadres and so forth. And Lalu has given them 5 seats, and then Lalu has given the Congress 9 seats. That is 8.5 more than they are relevant in Bihar. And the half seat that they're relevant is in Kishanganj, and the 40%, 45% Muslim vote they have. So what do you guys think about that? Kishor or Rohit, anyone can come in. Sorry, I should have led with that.
Kishorji pehle.
No, yeah, I think this was a give and take by the Lalu Yadav family. They wanted to ensure that if they provide some space for Congress now, they would definitely get it back in the Vidhan Sabha elections next year. I think that was the give and take that these people wanted to really take advantage of. And with regards to Kishanganj, absolutely, Congress has zero space in the other parts of the state. Uh, Basically, now with JDU walking away, even for RJD, I think they wanted some kind of an alliance to ensure that the ST belt in the bottom half closer to the Jharkhand border. I think there also they wanted some kind of accumulation of extra votes simply because the simply because of the FT outreach that BJP has had in the recent past. It would be that much more tougher. And if you notice, the CPI, ML, and Congress, they've been given one seat each in that lower in the southern belt closer to the Jharkhand border. So I think RJD has been intelligent enough to keep their core seats intact and probably give out the ones that uh, they would anyway lose to these alliance partners.
I mean,
That's good point.
just
Yeah,
one
Mohal.
funny point on like Kishanganj. I mean, I know you are saying it's like they would have won, but I mean, mind you, they only won by 3% in 2019. You know who came in third? Who almost defeated the? I mean, the JDU almost stood a chance to win because AIMM polled like 27%, JDU polled 30%, and Congress polled 33%. So it was a neck and neck fight. I mean, AIM almost gave like a 40-0 clean sweep to the BJP in Bihar, I mean, NDA in Bihar, sorry.
Yeah, but also who was the guy? So Akhtarul Liman, the AIMIM MP face, was also the JDU. He was in the JDU, and then he switched to. So he transferred. He took a lot of votes from the JDU also in that. But Kishanganj is a again. It's the same JDU versus IND. So it's Mujahid Alam, Mohammad Javed, and Akhtarul Liman fighting. It's going to be a close one, but I think demographically, I still think the Congress will win it.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
then,
think AIMIM has a chance there.
yeah. No, no, I mean, just like they're more like a spoiler. But then on a lighter note, I think by giving 5 seats to the communist in Bihar, I think Lalu wanted them to be more relevant in Bihar than in West Bengal.
That's true. Acha, one more thing before Rohit you come in, and then we'll wrap up with Jharkhand. Very interesting to see old BJP faces like Rajiv Pratap Rudi in Saran, Ravi Shankar Prasad getting another ticket in from Patna Sahib, even though he's not in the Council of Ministers, coming back. And then two of Lalu's daughters, I think Rohini Acharya is fighting from Saran, and Misa Bharti is fighting from Pataliputra, where Ram Kripal Yadav, old Lalu hand, is fighting. I mean, he's won the last two elections from the BJP, and he was in MOS. So even though a lot of people have been dropped as CM, what I'm seeing this time is Mr. Modi does not want to take a chance at having his best shot at 400. He has nominated a lot of old school places, old school people from this, be it Nityanand Rai or Giriraj Singh. So Radha Mohan Singh was the ex-agriculture minister of India.
Yeah.
Sanjay Jaiswal from Paschim Champaran. All these old school faces. Not a lot of. Typically, Modi was known for replacing a third of his MPs and stuff like that. But these are all these faces that he doesn't want any rebellion from. Am I correct in assessing that?
No, that's true. Actually, in Bihar, there is a genuine paucity of finding the right kind of candidates for a couple of reasons. One, of course, is that the BJP is still seen as an upper caste party mostly in the state, despite the BJP having been talking very hard about being a party representing all segments of society. It has tried very hard to make, cash in on the prime minister's OBC status, or it has tried very hard to also be a, with people like Samrat Chaudhary, who's also query being given an OBC caste, basically being given the presidency in the state. Ram Kirpal Yadav being given made such a prominent face on many occasions in the state. But the fact remains that the BJP has been unable to pull those kind of votes. The 5-6% vote, as it is assumed, or even the SACC said. Kurmis, for instance, constitute about 4 to 5% of the state's population, as per the so-called caste census, which was basically a socio-economic census done by the Tejasvi-led government back in 2019. BJP is unable to repeat the magic that it has achieved in Uttar Pradesh yet. In Bihar, where it managed to got in a lot of the smaller, like marginal caste groups behind it, rallying behind the BJP. It's not happened. It's not worked out yet for them in Bihar. Interestingly, that is what the alliance tries to do. As you rightly pointed out, these are the 1%, 2%, 2.5% kind of communities that are being brought together. Paswans are basically considered to be about 6 or 7% number in the state. The Musahars are considered about a 1 or 2% number in the state. Their parties literally are the Lok Jan Shakti and the Hindustan Awami Morcha. So, that's the kind of approach that is being attempted by the BJP. And people actually don't realize that Bihar is actually a very fractious state, because there are parties literally representing communities just like in Kerala today. So, I mean, there's a lot of parallels in that sense within Bihar and Kerala, because they're community-specific parties, even geography-specific parties. People forget that in the last Vidhan Sabha election, AIMIM had actually won about 3 to 5 seats in the Vidhan Sabha, especially from the Himachal region, because that has become a very heavily Muslim-dominant region in the last decade and a half, for various reasons. So, I mean, of course, they defected, but that's been the case. And I mean, I want to see if AIMM is serious and is going to field a couple of candidates from Mithila and Kishanganj, because then it will be a serious vote cutter for the Congress and the RJD, who dread the presence of AIM in the state. That is the nature of politics.
Absolutely.
No, but I think what also should be remembered is how RJD kind of poached all these AIMIM leaders, so to speak, back into RJD. So,
For that
so
very
all,
reason.
yeah, so for all the bravado that Owaisi showed by claiming that he was the real representative of Muslims across the country, he couldn't sustain it for more than 2-3 years.
Yeah.
That's
Also, I
actually
think the Ram Janmabhoomi movement and the Ram Mandir played a huge role, because Lalu Yadav's stance against the Ram Mandir probably helped him sort of solidify that place that he had within the Muslim community, saying, "I stood for you guys." Asaduddin Owaisi, where was he? So it emotional connect matters. But having said that, we'll
So
go to Jharkhand
one
and then.
last point,
Huh,
like
go on.
I was looking at the list of candidates. Have they announced all the? I mean, because the seat sharing is not announced, so they haven't announced all the candidates. BJP,
they
right?
No,
have.
they have not. No, they have not,
Yeah,
because
and
and
interestingly, when I
as it
see all the
happens, the
sitting,
election phases are very convenient to that.
yeah, I mean the other thing what I noticed is all the sitting MPs, none of them have been dropped, which is kind of very surprising, given that like around 30-40% in many other regions have been dropped.
Because the BJP is genuinely, not in a position to have any new faces coming in, and they think that it is too risky for them right now to lose seats potentially in Bihar. See, if you want a 400, you have to have a 100% strike rate today in Bihar. And some of these faces actually, while they may not become ministers ever again, they do retain popularity at the local level, and they also fit in some of the caste combinations that fit perfectly for them. Somebody like Giriraj Kishor, for instance, he comes from Bhagalpur. Bhagalpur is a very heavily dominated seat by Bhumihars. He's a Bhumihar face after all. Kanhaiya Kumar, by the way, is also a Bhumihar. So that was the reason why he had been treated in the first place. Similarly, Patna Sahib is a seat that has a significant caste vote base. So, and of course, Punjabi vote base as well, who are staunch BJP voters. So they don't want to lose that seat in any sense. Patna Sahib, by the way, is one of the 5 takhts of Sikh tradition, where
Yes.
Guru Gobind Singh Ji was born. So, by today's logic of many of the,
That is why
uh,
it's called Patna Sahib. A lot of people forget, like
exactly,
Anandpur Sahib, just like
exactly.
that, and Shatrughan Sinha was there, the MP,
For the
as he
longest time,
was
he
a
was the candidate, and interestingly, even Shatrughan Sinha is the caste. Most people tend to forget that by
yes,
caste, by caste.
as is Ravi Shankar Prasad,
Exactly,
That's
he's
why.
also a caste.
So
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 that's the
and
thing.
usse pehle, the interesting thing is Chandrashwar Prasad Thakur was used to be from Patna Sahib or something. He's an old BJP face, and then he was
Yeah,
taken
yeah.
to the Rajya Sabha. Acha, one interesting thing. Wrap up, Rohit, and then we'll go to
Nee, I was
Jharkhand.
just saying, so these are the kind of reasons also why some of the faces, even somebody like Radha Mohan Singh has been repeated for that very same reason. There was,
Absolutely.
by the way, the Power Minister Rajkumar Singh has also been given a ticket, I believe. He's a proper Rajput face, and the seat he is contesting from.
मतलब वो लोग भूल ही जाते, he was the ex Home Secretary of India यार, Power
And the
Minister
man
हम
who had
बोलते
arrested Lal Krishna Advani during the Rath Yatra in Bihar
हैं.
as the DM.
he
So
he
that,
said he said it na कि he apologized or came up with some bizarre reason or something like that. RK Singh has had a very colorful tenure as a Babu, and a very
yeah,
different
but as a
tenure as
minister,
a
he's been
minister.
fantastic. I must admit, that as a minister, he's been fantastic for the power sector.
Exactly.
So,
Which is
speaking of Patna Sahib, Adit, do you remember who in the 2009? I mean, I wouldn't call it a wave, but like the good, uh, who contested for Patna Sahib against Shatrughan Sinha?
Shekhar Suman.
Wasn't it Shekhar
Yeah,
Suman?
Shekhar Suman.
Yeah, Shekhar
Yeah,
Suman. Yeah, I absolutely remember.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just got 11% of the vote. I mean,
Huh.
when Congress was winning everywhere in the country, they couldn't win Patna Sahib,
But it's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting, huh? Even
I think Rohit froze the minute you talked about
if I'm
power
not
and
mistaken.
Patna Sahib, he froze. Rohit, can you repeat your point? Yeah,
Yeah, I was saying it is interesting. Even in 2009, the kind of horrible performance that the BJP had, NDA did very well in Bihar that year.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And I think 2009 was more because of 2009 they won entirely of piggybacking on Nitish Kumar.
Yeah.
2019 Nitish Kumar won entirely piggybacking on Narendra Modi. So
And
And
see, BJP has to
2024, repeat the statement,
नहीं,
Adit.
अब तो पिगीबैक भी नहीं है ना, दे आर टेलिंग नरेंद्र मोदी, वो पीछे
be.
खड़े हैं
Uh,
वो.
But Adit, you raise a fundamentally important point. If I were a BJP supporter, out and out BJP supporter in that sense, my first question, of course, is why is Nitish Kumar still in the alliance? Right? He has become an absolute political. He's become a
I
liability.
have
yeah,
I have that question for at least Ajit Pawar, Nitish Kumar, about at least 15 people. And the next date we are going to say Geeta Koda. Why? What the hell is she doing in BJP? When you have Babulal Marandi completely understand. He's an old
Right.
BJP hand. You bring, but his point also, Babulal Marandi said Madhu Koda and Geeta Koda were in BJP when he was there. They actually quit BJP because of Babulal Marandi quitting BJP. But my point is, uh, I think the ultimate goal seems to be up ki bar 400 par and stuff like that. So there are these alliances, but the problem is I think Mr. Modi underestimates how hard it is going to be to work with all these people.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody like a Nitish Kumar, frankly, had, and Prashant Kishore, by the way, is the biggest elephant in the room. Nobody's talking about even now. Okay, he's not declared anybody, any Lok Sabha candidates, which most probably will not be the case because
no, no,
he's
no. He has said on the record, I'm not contesting this election for sure. That's why he's giving a million media interviews.
yeah. No, but the fun part is that he's actually going to be contesting the Vidhan Sabha for sure. And if he contests the Vidhan Sabha today, I can bet my bottom dollar that he's going to damage all the present parties in Bihar in ways they cannot imagine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like light years away. But I mean, I don't think he doesn't support anybody. I think he wants an alternative to come up to Modi. But I mean, he knows that all the current options are like not capable of fighting.
And
I mean,
and he's not directly even targeting Mr. Modi. He's that smart.
yeah,
This is the difference between somebody who, and I have to give him credit for this, that he has realized that you do not have to target Mr. Modi to win against the BJP.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and then the larger point, I mean, he knows that Nitish is very weak on the ground. I mean, even I think Yashwant Deshmukh of Sea Voter has mentioned this, that Nitish Kumar has terrible popularity ratings right now, and then he will not win the next election. I mean, so BJP has a big problem come 2025.
Narrating these incidents, let me tell two incidents, Adit, if you permit me honestly, about what is the real
You are
state.
permitted. I'm just kidding.
So as the alliance partner of RJD in that Mahagathbandhan government, students were lathi charged because of an exam paper leak, and Nitish Kumar, as the chief minister, did not know there had been a lathi charge when he was asked the next day about it by the media. And his reaction is, "Kal lathi charge hua hai kya?" This is his reaction literally. Can you imagine? That was the state of affairs, because everybody know, and everybody was basically waiting for Nitish Kumar to collapse and his party to collapse. It would split into two parts. A section would go to the BJP, another section would go to the RJD. That was the sum. That is a political sum game everybody's waiting for to happen. Nitish Kumar,
Yeah.
at least while he's alive, he's realized that he cannot win more than 3 seats on his own. As
In
Tushar
my
Kumar,
opinion, in my opinion, so Nitish Kumar can only win Republic of Nalanda and Aspas. Uske, I think in
exactly.
my opinion,
Nalanda
what has
and
happened is
Gaya, basically that's the best
right,
bet.
that belt, the EBC belt.
Where the
Mr.
where the
Modi,
Kurmis dominate, apparently.
that the Kurmis dominate, yes. So I think the BJP's deal is that now Nitish Kumar will anoint a BJP chief minister after this election, and the election next year will be fought in. See, Bihar again votes is one of those rare states, along with Delhi, that votes in 2025. Strangely, in India, there is never not an election season, but 2025 happens to be that year, that 5-year cycle when only a few states vote. So Nitish will be there. But having, we are running out of time. So the last 10 minutes, I want to talk a little bit about Jharkhand, a very complicated state. And Jharkhand was one of the few states in North India where the UP, then UPA won. And strangely, Shibu Soren lost from Dumka, his bastion, but the Congress Party and the sorry, not the AJSU, the JMM, the AJSU fought as a BJP ally. The JMM won Rajmahal, Vijay Kumar Hanstak, and Geeta Koda won Singhbhum. Now Geeta Koda is with the BJP, and Dumka, as you can see, Shibu Soren for 47,000, and then Khunti was another interesting 1,500 vote margin, with Arjun Munda almost losing that. The other interesting thing is JVM, which is Babulal Marandi's party, who was in the Congress of the UPA Kodarma, is back with the Babulal Marandi is back with the BJP, and him and Arjun Munda are going to be leading the charge, so to speak.
One of the biggest problems that the BJP had, was the fact that Mr. Raghubar Das, who was a non-tribal face as the chief minister of the state, had gained massive unpopularity. He was seen as somebody who was actually very arrogant and did not meet people, even though the performance of the government was fairly good from an economic perspective. I mean, jobs were created, industry was brought in beyond just the conventional mining industry in the state. In contrast, Mr. Hemant Soren's government has been one full of absolute contradictions and crises. The latest crisis being that Mr. Hemant Soren, it was baffling, or absolutely unconstitutional, that somebody like Mr. Hemant Soren gets his government to allocate him mines in individual capacity, which literally is a kind of the constitutional crisis nobody would have imagined, leading him, and he was running a helter-skelter, hiding from the ED. I mean, when have you seen something like that happen? I think the sagacity of the man at least has to be given credit for. He did resign before he got arrested by the ED, and a new chief minister was brought in, Mr. Champai Soren. But the situation in the state was actually one that was definitely not pleasant. BJP's outreach to the Janjatiya community for the last 6.5 years, and I keep coming back to that like a broken record, is unmatched. And people forget the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas is basically the birth date of Bhagwan Birsa Munda ji, who's a very revered figure amongst the tribals of Jharkhand, particularly amongst the Munda community there. And also the fact that the kind of schemes like Vandhan Yojana or the Eklavya tribal model tribal residential schools. So a lot of things have been done on a big scale. Tribal affairs minister comes from Jharkhand, Mr. Arjun Munda. So they basically thrown the kitchen sink in that sense at the state, and left no stone unturned. Mr. Marandi himself, who's a tribal, has been brought back into the party.
And Arjun Munda and Babulal Marandi were as close to each other as you can, as Sharad Pawar and probably Pramod Mahajan. They absolutely hated each other's guts. So the fact that Mr. Modi has done that, he's the grand unifier. But wrap your point up quickly, so I could go to Kishor, because we'll have to wrap up in the next 5 minutes.
I mean, I see the BJP on a very strong wicket. Tribal community definitely, just like what you saw in the assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh, for instance, and Chhattisgarh, I am sure there will be a similar kind of miracle for the BJP happening there. The other communities, of course, I want to see what happens. The border districts have a significant presence of the RJD because of the Muslim vote as well. So, let's see. I think the BJP definitely will win about 80% of the seats there. Um, Rest 20 are up for grabs. BJP has to, of course, get its candidate selection right, which I feel, at least for now, is so far on track.
Absolutely. I think it's a 12-2 fight
Speaking
again.
of candidates, they haven't repeated Jayant Sinha, which is, I think, Yashwant Sinha, I think, bearing 2004, they have been winning that seat for like a very long time
Yeah,
from
Hazaribagh.
Hazaribagh.
And what is interesting is that Congress has given the seat to an ex BJP guy, Jai Prakash Bhai Patel, who is the son of Teklal Mahto, Teklal Mahto was with BJP. Jai Prakash Bhai Patel was from Mandu as a BJP MLA, and who was with the JMM, and then they've given the seat. So Hazaribagh actually is a very open contest, because Hazaribagh, what people don't understand is, two MLAs of Hazaribagh are with Congress. One is with AJSU and one is with the BJP. So it's a very 50-50 type seat. Last time, of course, Jayant Sinha won by 4.7 lakh votes. So if that is even, they get close to that margin, they'll win. But Yashwant Sinha in 2009 came very close to losing it. He won barely by 40,000 votes. And Yashwant Sinha made a statement in that NDTV interview he gave that I am not that person that I can win every time. Now, of course, Yashwant Sinha has completely lost his mind and says something. One interesting trivia I'm going to give to Kishore in a second. 2004, when Yashwant Sinha lost in that big BJP debacle in Jharkhand and Bihar, that seat was won by the Communist Party of India.
Yeah.
So, Kishore, your point of Jharkhand.
Yeah, I think the ST votes is something that the BJP continues to enjoy. So obviously they will win more than 50% of the seats. Everything else will be of academic interest there, except for the fact that how will this shape up for the Vidhan Sabha elections for the next time around. Beyond that, I think, as you rightly pointed out, bringing in Babulal Marandi and Arjun Munda on the same stage is that achievement for the prime minister. So I think that's the kind of piggybacking that most sensible political leaders do across the country when they understand that when their shelf life is close to expiry date, then they would really want to piggyback on
Yeah.
Modi's acceptability.
Yeah, because there are seats like Lohardaga, right, where all five MLAs are with the opposition, with Congress and JMM, but BJP still wins it by 20,000 votes, and Samir Orao has been repeated, right? So Khunti mein BJP has a better presence, but BJP barely scrapes through by 10,000. So there are a lot of inherent. Singhbhum is another example where Gita Koda has been nominated, and all the MLAs are with Congress in them. And then there is places like Jamshedpur, which is supposedly a safe BJP seat because, urban seat, where every single MLA is with JMM and Congress.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
how do you reconcile that? So you wanted to make a point. So is Jharkhand a state which was always going to vote in two parts? And Girit, by the way, is with AJSU again this year.
Yeah, so Giriti, of course, is one seat that you mentioned, but this is the problem with the BJP, and this was the problem that happened because of Raghubar Das as the chief minister back in the day for the BJP. So, as I was saying earlier, the unpopularity of Raghubar Das definitely weighed very heavily on the BJP, and there were a lot of unhappy people within the BJP who had left and basically dented the party very badly, including Mr. Babulal Marandi, who literally caused a 7 to 8% vote share difference between the BJP and the Congress JMM alliance on the other side. They know that they've been trying to address that for some time now. One of the interesting things, of course, is that there has also been a lot of polarization on Hindu-Christian lines amongst the tribal community in Chhattisgarh. And there's a lot of commonality in terms of geography and culture between Chhattisgarh and even blood relations in that sense. Roti beti ka rishta. Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, MP, and Odisha tribals. So I want to see if that is something that also starts mirroring itself in Jharkhand, because this kind of cleavage in the community would mean that the BJP has definitely breached a big fortress here. People forget that JMM is actually a tribal party. All Jharkhand Student Union was a tribal front. The demand for Jharkhand had come primarily because, and by the way, the demand for Jharkhand is as old as 1930s. So it had come primarily because of the overwhelmingly tribal uh, nature of the population, or the Janjatiya nature of the population of that part of Bihar, erstwhile Bihar, where a lot of non-Janjatiya people had been settled because of mining, because of other industries, in Ranchi and other belts. So that definitely is something that, that sentiment remains to an extent. So,
Ab-
so
Absolutely, absolutely. But you are still thinking it's a 12-2 or an 11-3 win for the
I think it
BJP.
is at, I would say 10-4 for now. I mean, it might increase. Again, candidates, and I think something in terms of whether the vote split happens or not, which I think will happen. It might even increase the
Fascinating.
tally. So I'm being conservative for now with respect to what's
And
happened.
speaking of Jharkhand, how can we forget Darbhanga Lok Sabha constituency where Kirti Azad fought and who has shifted to neighboring West Bengal to fight on a TMC ticket this time around?
Hmm, So, they are all Kirti Azad and all of them. They are going to be whining even more when they lose from TMC. So it's going to be interesting. Kirti Azad has been strange.
Case who's gone out of politics altogether from Punjab. I'm sorry to say this, Navjot Singh Sidhu, by the way.
Yes. वो
Nowhere to be.
आईपीएल में चला गया है और कीर्ति आजाद उसमें एंड कीर्ति आजाद पीपल फॉरगेट इज son of the Bihar chief minister and now he's going to
Exactly.
fight from Bengal Bhagwat Ja Azad. So what an interesting story. But in any ways, yeah, this is, it's only in India does it happen that 1983 World Cup was a great achievement and stuff, but that was also more than 35 years ago. Let's get with reality. Like, matlab, have you seen? Have you? And Kirti Azad was not even that major a part of that. A decent part. But have you seen Mike Valletta, who was a big part of 1987 World Cup, still being said 1987 Australia World Cup winner Mike Valletta is now going to be contesting for Queensland Southwest. So we need to take ourselves a little bit seriously as a country. Even freaking Alan Border is not being nominated the same way as these guys are. So we need to take a little bit of ourselves seriously कि खुद ही अपने आप को मजाक बना रहे.
And you hit the nail on the head, Adit. I mean, somebody like, Arun Govil, with all due respect to him, being given the ticket from Meerut, which was a frankly very close fight for the BJP the last time, despite all one might say. Just for the sake of him being a celebrity and trying to cash in on the Ram Mandir hype. I mean, I don't want to judge him as a person or as a political leader, but if he fails, that is a big failure for the BJP, because its attempt of cashing in on star images will backfire
Yeah.
eventually in a very
And
bad manner.
and Meerut is a strange seat because for the first time in a long time, Samajwadi Party has nominated a Hindu,
Exactly.
Bhanu
Exactly.
Pratap Singh.
He's done a smart thing by that.
Yes,
But
because for the longest time they would have Haji Yaqub Qureshi, Shahid Manzoor, all of them, and this time Muhammad Anas is still with MIM, but then Samajwadi has that. Sorry, okay, Mohal,
so,
and
like, do you know like why General VK Singh like was not nominated? I mean, is it anti-incumbency? Like, I mean, question for Rohit
yes,
since he's like close to that region.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, one of the reasons, of course, is that Ghaziabad as a seat is frankly a proper like defense veterans full seat, in the sense that there were so many retired armed forces veterans who live out of Ghaziabad. Okay, from Jawan all the way to senior ranks. I mean, so it's not big. So it was always a seat that any defense veteran. But BJP this time has interestingly fielded a Punjabi face from the seat, which probably also is a sign of the changing demography of the seat per se. So many people moving out of Delhi and living in the NCR suburbs. Noida being one, Ghaziabad being another one. So that I think is an indicator of that. I'm also getting the feeling that General VK Singh might even be made an ambassador to some country or high commissioner to some country, because his tenure as the state minister for external affairs has been pretty decent. And I mean, I think it would be a perfect retirement for him as well. And he is the
I
perfect, frankly, to represent India on international forum, because he has
and
a blunt way of talking without losing his charm.
and I'll throw a completely I wouldn't even mind him being seen as a successor to Mr. Doval as an NSA or some in some defense or advisory capacity because Mr. Doval is in his 80s. So before last election, I made one prediction that Mr. S. Jaishankar is going to be made the External Affairs Minister of India. I was laughed out of the room. Well, that was right. I'm going to make another one. I think Mr. VK Singh is going to be either in some security advisory role or probably being groomed as the next NSA or some military advisory role, because he's had a very interesting tenure, and I think it's good only at ex AMG. See, we don't look at veterans the same way probably as other countries do. Like in America, veterans are looked at very differently and stuff. I see VK Singh coming in the same sort of role as say Colin Powell or someone. So let's just hope that happens.
And one of the theories, in fact, I've also heard why why General VK Singh is also being sort of phased out is because he will be probably replaced by Taranjeet Singh Sandhu if he comes through either on the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha.
Right. Maybe.
Candidate. No,
and again, another completely the next president of India. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it won't be surprising because I think that's the only face that is left for the BJP to now, in terms of a community now represent.
Yeah, the armed forces and stuff. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm about done with our time. Fascinating podcast. Any closing comments, anyone, before we wrap up? Mohal, Kishor, anyone?
No, I mean, as the seats continue to roll in, I think BJP has released over 404 candidates. So there are these few outliers. I think mostly it's Maharashtra and Bihar where the alliances haven't formed up. So it'll be interesting to see in the days ahead that what are the candidates, especially I think because except Maharashtra and Bihar, I can't think of any states where they haven't released the vast majority of the candidates,
Absolutely. What about you, Kishore? Any closing comments?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing that Mohal pointed out, but more importantly, the kind of lack of rallies or lack of public outreach programs that we are witness to. I mean, in the past 15 days, we have had one high-level visit to Bhutan by the Prime Minister, and then after that, no major rallies around the country. Even in the past week, there hasn't been anything.
By
People are
both
now focusing on
BJP and the opposition, mind you.
right. I mean, opposition. You can point out that they are not even taking this seriously. But for BJP, I think maybe they're taking it for granted as well, which some complaint that you keep hearing. But anyway, that's been the highlight in the past 1 week, and hopefully, as the first phase kicks in, maybe we'll be able to see more of these public outreach programs.
2 weeks time, right?
To sum up what Kishore is saying, at least ऐसा लगे election शुरू तो हो.
Yeah.
But exactly 2 weeks to the first phase. I mean, Saturday.
And next week we'll wrap up with our part 4 and our full wrap up, which will be exactly right before the election, so you can use it as a ready reckoner. Rohit, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I think the BJP is by far looking the only party that is ready so far to contest the elections. I don't see any other party.
I would say they are looking at the only party that are contesting the elections. Forget
the only one who's barely bothered about the election right now. And Congress, frankly, is nowhere in the picture in the north of India except for probably Jharkhand and some pockets of Bihar right now, and Punjab for reasons that are not necessarily in their own control. But I want to see what happens. Kashmir, of course, I think I missed out on Kashmir rally. I think National Conference might actually win 2 out of the 3 seats in that region. So let's see. Because the interesting thing is they've dropped the ball on 370, but they're just asking for statehood now. So it might. So I mean, there's an adjustment to reality. So what Kishorji was talking about earlier, about the voter turnout, J&K taking that kind of nuanced position, unlike the past, is probably an indicator of what we might expect in the valley itself.
देखते हैं वजीर डिस्को कब तक चलते हैं, but it will be a fascinating time. If people don't know who Wazir Disco is, look him up. Hint, it's Farooq Abdullah. There you go, I just said it. But whatever happens, we'll be here to cover it. Thank you so much, Rohit, Mohal, Kishore. This has been a fascinating podcast again. मैं खुद कुछ काफी नया सीखा हूँ. And then we'll wrap up with Maharashtra, rest of Gujarat and Rajasthan, rest Madhya Pradesh. We talked a little bit about it in the first part, so we'll wrap that up with our predictions and the last part of Uttar Pradesh, and then we'll give an overall picture of what is happening in the rest of India. But like we promised you, and any union territories we've left out, we'll cover them all. You don't worry. I will even discuss Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Uh, Nothing shall be, and Kishore is going to give his predictions on Port Blair also. So don't you worry. We'll cover it all up. But thank you again. You've been very patient, very gracious in all your comments. Please like, share, subscribe, follow them on Twitter, all other social media platforms. We'll be back next week with more. Till then, it's goodbye.